Hi, and welcome to this edition of Tech Clarity TV. My name's Jim Brown, President of Tech Clarity, where we make the business value of technology clear. Today I'd like to talk to you about something that I call the social collaboration conundrum. We've all seen how social computing and social media has made a big impact on our lives, and it's starting to have a big impact on our business lives as well. But it's also starting to cause some challenges. Tools really weren't made for use in enterprise environments, and really in the work environment at all. So we're starting to see some challenges come from that, and it's really built up this conundrum. Today, I'd like to introduce a little bit of my research to you. There are several reports that I've written around this area, going social with product development, Product Collaboration 2.0, talking about taking collaboration to the next level, and then one directly on social product innovation. And I think what you'll see in all of these, while they're focused around product innovation and product development, the concepts are really true and applicable across all different kinds of social computing and the use of it towards business and trying to improve business results. So, to talk about social business collaboration, first I thought we should define it. It's really the intelligent use of social computing in the business environment in order to drive higher levels of business performance. And there are really three areas that I like to talk about. The first is just enhancing collaboration, making it easier to work with your team, with the people that you normally work with, and be able to share information in a much more natural, logical way, really being able to work across borders of potentially even your company, but certainly across borders of geographies and departments across your business. The next, I like to talk about knowledge sharing. Social computing techniques are really very good at helping companies get information out. It may be difficult, it may be locked up in a file on a shared folder somewhere, but instead to put it in a central repository, a central resource, so people can search for it, find it, and use it. The third thing I like to talk about is actually social discovery. And discovery really goes beyond collaborating with the people that you already know, maybe the people on your team, and really helps you leverage your extended network to find people that may have talents, knowledge, and interest that is relevant to a project you're working on or something you're doing that you may not know directly, you may not have naturally collaborated with, but through your extended enterprise or through your extended network, you now have access to find them and gain a new set of insight into what you're doing. So it really is a positive shift in how companies are working together in a number of different ways. So let me take an example of product development. It's an area I work in quite a bit. And product development is a highly collaborative process. It involves a lot of people. Cross-functional teams is a best practice that's used a lot. Oftentimes now we're doing some co-innovation or co-product development, reaching out to other people, working closely with suppliers, or maybe getting some voice of the customer in through some open innovation techniques, for example. It's really characterized by a lot of ideas, a lot of interaction around those ideas or collaboration around those ideas, but it also doesn't necessarily follow a lot of strict business processes. It's much more ad hoc. It's much looser, particularly in the very first conceptual stages of bringing a product to market. The problem is that not a lot of that information is then well captured and shared with other people. And that's really where social business collaboration comes in to help add some formality. But that's also where the conundrum comes in. If we think about what we want to do to collaborate, whether we're bringing new products to market or working on a client project together with somebody or whatever it may be, we want to have a free flow of information. We want everybody on the team to be able to easily exchange ideas, share a new bit of information, post something that everybody else can then comment on and enhance and mature an idea. And that's all very positive, and social computing does a great job of that. Unfortunately, though, in the business world, we also have a lot of sensitive data. It could be legally sensitive legal documents. It could be in product development, product specifications. It could be customer data. So at the same time we want to collaborate and share very openly, the conundrum is that we have to do it in a secure way. And unfortunately, that's not really what's been behind. Security and privacy hasn't really been behind the social media that was built in our personal lives. It's something that's evolving over time, but certainly not in enough maturity and enough of a state to work in an enterprise environment. One of the problems I find sometimes when I talk about this conundrum is that people seem to think that there isn't a problem. Particularly sometimes in management, companies aren't really aware of the kinds of ways people are sharing information and some of the risks that that places on their business. I'll give you an example. I was running a workshop and talking to people about how they were sharing engineering data, product designs, for example. And we talked about the fact that oftentimes those things were emailed or put on a thumb drive or in some other way shared. And we had a manager stand up, engineering manager, and say, that doesn't happen in our business. We have a formal system that everybody is authenticated into, and it's the only way that we share information, either with ourselves or with our suppliers. And he was very, very adamant that that's the way things happen in his business. And it was interesting because there were two engineers in the room that actually worked for this gentleman. And one of them looked at the other one and sort of sheepishly they were exchanging a glance. And I asked them if they could share what they were thinking. And what they told me is that, well, sometimes we have to get things done. And yes, that's the way that it's supposed to happen. It's supposed to go through the formal system. But that there were just times when they had to get things done more quickly. They had to share information for a supplier to give a quote, for example, and they just didn't have time to get that person set up. And so what they were doing is actually emailing native CAD documents. And it was really a surprise to the manager. So, you know, this conundrum is sometimes made more difficult because not everybody understands that it's really happening. And it's actually starting to get easier to share information using social media. There are sites, I'll use Dropbox as an example. Very easy to drag and drop a file from your local computer onto Dropbox, and it shows up with the person that you shared it with. Well, that may not be a big deal, except for the fact that then there's no control, there's no real record of who it went to, and there's no controls put on it that they can't share it with somebody else in turn. So you can get into this risk of oversharing. So what we really need within social business collaboration is both the social side of things, where we really have the ad hoc, community-oriented sharing of information in a rich way, but not oversharing. We need to have the business side. We need to have the controls in there to make sure that we're actually sharing the right information, that it's the right version, for example, from a revision perspective, but also that the information that we're sharing is well protected and isn't going to be overshared with somebody else. And again, that's really where social business collaboration comes in, learning a lot from the formal systems that are out there, but also learning a lot from the newer social media solutions that are out there and taking the best of both worlds. So I'd like to wrap up with a few key takeaways. Clearly, social computing is changing things, making our personal lives very different, but also offering some great opportunities in business. Unfortunately, though, that freedom and ability to rapidly share information with whoever we want and reach out through our network also is causing a conundrum and can cause us to overshare information. And so what we need is this social business collaboration concept that gives us the same comfort and control that we have with our internal systems, our enterprise level systems, but taking an enterprise level approach to the social behavior of networking and sharing information in a much more natural way. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your time today. I hope you were able to get something out of this short episode of Tech Clarity TV. I'd also like to thank Nuage. Nuage are actually the providers of Nuage Cafe, a social business collaboration platform, for their help in putting this show together. I'd love to continue the conversation with you. This is something I'm very passionate about. Would love to have you join me on my website. You can download the reports we talked about. You can certainly join me on Facebook or on my blog, Clarity on PLM, which you can find at www.techclarity.com, or you can find me on Twitter. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks.